Fiddling Around was written by John Caponegro. His surname means black hair in Italian. Now, if we look to see when this piece was composed, we see that he has retained his Italian heritage by using Roman numerals to indicate that this piece was written in 1975. Fiddling Around is also published using an old engraving technique where they etch all of the stuff into wood and print each piece of paper. And you can see this over here where some of the ink didn't quite contact the page with some of the downbows and other places. And I also assume that he uses sundials and wears centurion armor. Fiddling Around is a grade 2, according to Kendor. On the UIL PML, it's a grade 1. So our standards have increased a little bit since this was published. It's about 2 minutes long. If you're in Texas and you teach at a high school, Fiddling Around is also on the PML for UIL Solo and Ensemble, and it's a Class 3 for String Quintet. This piece is modal. It's in the Aeolian mode, and students like to play modal music. And rounds in general are just fun to play. You know, we've got the pun in the title, but the counterpoint that's used in canon and round is interesting, and students enjoy playing it, and it's easy to put together. Some things that make Fiddling Around easier to teach is that it does come with a third violin part. However, no piano part for this one. It also has a limited range. There's no material on the E string for violins or basses, and there's no material on the C strings for cellos or violas. So we end up with material only using the 3 homogeneous strings that everybody has. We also have no chromatic alterations. There's no D sharps because we're in the Aeolian mode. There's no written slurs. However, we may want to add some. There are only 2 fingering patterns that are used. We have the minor 1-2 pattern on the A string all the time. We have the major or 2-3 pattern on the D string all the time, and the major 2-3 pattern on the G string all the time. The finger patterns are the same for each instrument. So whether it's bass, cello, viola, violin, you can practice the finger patterns and make sure they understand them and get them all in tune before getting into this. We also have a wide mixture of rhythm. We have whole notes, we have dotted half notes, quarter notes, and eighth notes. And it's good because students will have to figure out bow distribution or bow placement to figure out how to optimize for these rhythms. And it'll make them think a little bit, and it'll make them think about the bow. And a lot of times students think way more about the left hand than they do about the bow. And this piece will really force them to start thinking about the bow, or else things will get out of hand in a hurry. We also have sections of this piece that utilize fourth finger, and you know, by now you're probably programming this for a group that you're encouraging to use their fourth finger more, and there are plenty of opportunities to do that for violins and violas. This piece might work really well for a non-varsity middle school group, maybe even a varsity middle school group. It also works well for a UIL solo and ensemble piece. Let's say that you're in a district that requires every student to participate in solo and ensemble. You can get 5 students together as a quintet and get them to play Fiddling Around. And for most high school students, that should be pretty doable no matter what level they come to you. I think that Fiddling Around also works as a great festival piece. If you have limited rehearsal time with students, you can put this piece together in about 20 or 30 minutes if you use some of the techniques that I'm going to talk about in the next video. And that'll give you time to work on other pieces in the program for the festival. So I think for a festival, if you got a day-long festival and you have a limited amount of rehearsal time, this works really well because of the speed in which you can teach it. All right, here's another scenario. You're getting close to your UIL or whatever your concert and sight reading competition is, and you're like 2 weeks out and there's a piece that just isn't working. You know, maybe it's the wrong piece for that group, or you over-programmed or something, and you're making the decision like, hey, I got to bail on this piece. And I got to get another piece that we can put together and sound really well on in about 2 weeks. Well, this would be good if you need to make that change. You know, the scores are printable on demand, so you can get with most publishing companies, and they'll print the score for you, put a little stamp on the bottom, and ship it to you pretty quickly. So you can get the music in plenty of time for your contest, and you can teach it to them and, you know, get the results that you want, hopefully. Hey, you know what happens. You know, we have high hopes for a program and it doesn't work out, and we got to make the call. You know, do I want to go to contests and not do well, or do I want to change the program? And it happens to just about everybody. So if you have to do something like that, this piece might be a good choice, you know, for like a middle school level program, maybe like a 2C varsity middle school. You know, you put a grade 3 on there, they weren't quite ready for it, and so you got to scrap the grade 3. Well, you can put this in to meet the grade 1 requirement as long as you got another grade 2, and then you're good to go. Right, in the next video, I'm going to talk about the form of fiddling around and how I would teach it if I had only 20 to 30 minutes to teach this piece, the most optimized way to teach it if time is a factor. So if you're interested in that, you know, there's a video there for that, and if not, you know, skip it and go on to the next video. It's no big deal, and hope to see you in the next one.